Some drugs interact with small ions or molecules to create a response. Most basic chemistry one is you take Tums, which are calcium pills, right? Tums is a source of calcium. Why? Because it's calcium carbonate, right? And it neutralizes gastric acids. They actually found about this was because people were eating chalk. Back in medieval times, people had upset stomach, they'd eat some chalk. And that's how they came to realize it was calcium, right? So it goes way back. There's stories of like in Greek times, people were taking clay that had high calcium for stomach upset, and it would solve their stomach upset. Okay, that's my geek point. I have geek points. Okay, now, receptor theory is kind of an important concept. This is why we teach you guys this stuff up front at the beginning of the units, because it kind of is the baseline for every unit. You have to understand that all drugs act as receptors. At least as far, it's hard to explain this, as far as we know today. Who's to say in 100 years we're going to say, oh, receptor theory, you guys were way off. It's actually some sort of ESP theory. Drugs act as if they form a chemical bond with a specific receptor site. So the lock and key analogy, if you remember the lock and key analogy, what year did you guys learn that? What biology was that? Was that biology 11? I can't remember. Did you guys learn about lock and key? It was somewhere in high school, because I remember the teacher going on about the lock and the key. I also remember that being used for sex ed. That's a whole other thing. The better the fit, the better the response. Okay, so this is where you have to understand these terms. Okay, and grab your pens. Ah, shoot, I forgot I had a sheet for you guys. Okay, let's do a drawing. And I will post these drawings online too, because I understand Williams Lake may not be able to see this very well. If I were to have my little crazy, this is not a snowball fight. This is my phospholipid bilayer. This is a big cell, okay? Big cell. Phospholipid oh, God. Anyways, regardless. Bilayer. Transport protein. Cells have transport proteins, or things that trigger reactions. And it has a shape. Okay? So, if I were to look at this is a drawing you would do for all three of them. An agonist is, I don't have other colors. Yeah, I think you have in the little box, you could draw this. You have a perfect fit. Your drug, fits perfectly into one of the receptors. What do you get? 100% of the response. Whatever that response you want. Whatever process you turn on, chemical process or whatever. Perfect fit, 100% response. Okay, that's an agonist. It mimics a natural receptor in the body. So that's how we design drugs. We found out what naturally happens in the body. We found out what receptor does it, and we designed drugs that act just like that. Right? So you could have another drug, also a perfect fit, right? Those are agonists. They are going to trigger the normal body response, 100% response, whatever that is, okay? So that's agonist. Antagonist. Doesn't fit. Antagonist, square, big square. Doesn't fit. These cannot fit into this area. They can't. So what kind of response would you get? Nothing. Zero response. And more importantly, what if these agonists jam themselves in there and then block this site? They don't fit perfectly, but it managed to get in there, and this one managed to get in there as well. Right? So they don't fit enough to trigger the lock and key, but they fit enough to jam the damn thing up. You guys ever put the wrong key into a lock? Occasionally there's one key that will stick in that damn lock and you're not going to get it out. And you're trying to jiggle. It's happened to me more than a few times. Okay? So that's antagonist. Maybe that's what we want to have happen. My slightly bent office key does it all the time. Yet have I gone and got a new key? No. Instead, I'll bitch about it. Okay, so 0% response, and maybe we want to have that happen. Like maybe we want to stop. So if we block this, right, maybe we want to stop the perfectly fitting body chemical. Yeah, okay, you start getting into that. Yeah, is it an agonist or antagonist? And if you start reading deeper into the literature, you'll see that it might be an antagonist, right? So blocks a natural chemical, that's a very good one actually, chemical, what you want to have happen. Okay. All right, what's a partial agonist, partial antagonist? I think of it in a party, right? There's people that you get along with, you mimic, they're great. There's people that antagonize you. And then there's people that are a little bit of both, right? Yeah, maybe sometimes. So they can attach and they can elicit a small response. So maybe this one's close, but it's not quite right. But it attaches enough down here that it can make a response. So I don't know how you draw that. Maybe this drug here, this triangle drug, fits perfectly, but enzymically it's got these crisscrosses in it. It's a little bit different, but it fits. So it sort of is like a wolf in sheep's clothing. Might look like a sheep, but when it gets close, you smell it, it doesn't smell like a sheep. Okay? And the teeth don't look like a sheep anymore. All right? And so what do you get out of this? You either get no signal, so maybe it blocks it partially, or maybe you get a full signal, 100%, or maybe you get a partial, whatever that is. So some drugs we have don't exactly mimic the body. We can't do exactly what the body does, but we come close. And maybe we've come close with a partial agonist or partial antagonist. Okay? So it either partially blocks it or it partially mimics it. Either or. Okay? That makes sense? So there's competitive, right? The competitive compete against the natural agonist. Non-competitive use the natural agonist. Forget that. That'll whip you out. All right. Sometimes I put notes down when I look after Everton and go, forget that. Okay, so that's drawing that. I'm going to skip that growing. Grab your pens. So confused? Because you might be. So let's watch another YouTube video because I just can't get enough